Boom, boom. This is Ken, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. All right, got a little bit of Soul Land reloaded up today. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few things here real quick. I've got some messages about the regenerating option up here. This is where you actually do dissolve and get back the shards that you took. Now, there's two ways to do this here, and here's the difference. Now, when you regenerate the Soul Master, okay, you get back the shards and the gold and the materials that you had. Okay, when you dissolve a Soul Master, it's a little bit different because you're actually taking the actual shards from an uncompleted character and making it into the Soul Master shop currency, which is these coins right here. Okay, so that's what that. So there is a difference in that. This has to be done on full characters. You have to already have the character, and you have to have summoned it, created it. This is where you get those the shards back. Then after you've got those shards back, then if you want to, you can go here and dissolve the actual shards. In S cases, of course, you want to hang on to those because you could use those to upgrade SS characters. Okay, so that's what the Soul Master regenerated. Now, regenerate waking is a way to regenerate. I haven't actually used any of this. You can regenerate the awakening resources. I don't get those enough. I haven't had enough of those where I'm to the point where I can actually start regenerating them. And you can get the exchange points to doing that. I did actually regenerate an A+ one time for an A+ weapon for one. I think it was for Woody. I think it was for Woody. Yeah, I think it was for Woody. I generated. I never did actually use the character, so I had that. Now I spend most of my time in the dissolution. Okay, because I do a lot of I don't do any dissolved materials because materials at this point are when you get a new character, it doesn't matter if it's an S character, an SS character, or an SS plus character. It's all going to use the same materials to work through as you level it up. So there's really no use to actually dissolve these because you might in the future use them. Now I do this a lot because I don't even focus on the shards for BA or A+ characters. I just get this. I need these coins for the actual. They're used inside of that shop, but they're also used inside of cultivation. Not cultivation. Physical skills. So physical skills are located under the Soul Master. You open up. Then you've got physical skill. Now to level up these physical skills, you need these coins right here, as always. So getting as much of these the soul stones as possible is something that you want to do because it's used in there as well for the physical skill. And you're going to start getting up pretty high. I'm saving up right now because I'm going to be using them for Ren. I'm going to be leveling her up exceedingly fast, and I want to be able to bring up her skills, physical skills as well. So I've stored up a little bit of a buffer for that, which is why I haven't been taking that out. So I like to try to get everybody to 6 as the starting point. And then once I've got finalized up the teams, then we could start taking them up. I think 10 is the maximum. I'm pretty sure 10 is as far as it goes. 10 or 9, I can't remember which, for the physical skills. So that's what that is used for. So I spend a lot of time doing the dissolving of the Soul Master shards. You never want to, of course, you never want to dissolve your S shards because these are actually used for, leveling up your SS plus and SS characters. So you never ever want to dissolve any of these shards. Okay, Soul Bone shards. This is the same. I focus on anything below. I just go ahead and dissolve these to get some of the currency. Except for the S's, I don't touch S's because I keep S's. I like to have an S set uh, futuristic is going to be all mostly probably um, the attack set, which is the hardest set to get. But in the end, that's what it comes down to. But until I can get S sets for the red, you can temporarily create these for very little cost. And then once you're done with them, you can of course dissolve them and get back the materials for that. So it's not that big a deal in terms of that. But for the time being, I keep these as is and just dissolve the lower ones. Hidden weapon shards. You don't want to be using this, okay, until you've maxed out, okay, a hidden weapon. But and when I mean max out, I mean max out at stars. Like right here, the sealed milk bottle. Okay, the sealed milk bottle was done. Okay, I can't level up, upgrade the silk bottle anymore. It's maxed out. So any shards I could get for the milk bottle could be used to, you can dissolve those at that time because it's not used for anything else. Okay. Fortunately, you get chests for these things mostly, so you can choose what you want. It's the same with the crossbow. Crossbow's maxed out, so I'm of course not going to be going anymore for that. Right now, I'm working on maxing out the Mortal Ward Blessing, and as you can see, I've got about 130 or so to go on that. So you don't want to be dissolving those at this time. Once you've maxed out the upgrade, then you can dissolve the shards. But they usually give you a chest so you can choose what you want. So you don't want to actually pick anything that you've already maxed out. Focus on some of the others to get, because then you get a BP of it. Dissolving it doesn't give you anything except some currency that you could use in the shop. You want to focus on your BP at this time. So that's where we spend most of the time at. Extended bone shards. Now, same with these. You want to use these, and you don't really want to dissolve anything in here at this point, simply because of the fact that you can use these to upgrade soul bones. Okay, so you want to try to keep an eye on that, even though you can get a bunch of currency. But I don't really use the Hell Shop that much, which is where this currency is for. Spirit soul shards. Now this, I really don't see the need to keep the A+ ones. Okay, I just, we've got enough S and SS pluses that we should need these. But what you got to understand is the fact that yes, from a team format, you can only have 2 spirit souls. Okay, 3 once you complete the constellation, you'll be able to allow a 3rd one. But each of the actual characters has a spirit soul as well. Okay, so Scorpion, you got your Phoenix, and you got your Lion. But you need these for the others as well. Okay, unfortunately, if you take a look at the spirit souls, you will see that there's really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spirit souls. Okay, you're going to have 8 characters in your team initially, and once Team 3 opens up, you could conceivably have up to 12 characters in your team, and as such, there's not enough spirit souls for all your characters. So you might want to go ahead and look at creating some of the others. So there's actually a mutated metal down here. So as you can see, so I've created some of these. So I have some of these created simply so I can slot them into a character. I'm not going to worry about leveling them up simply because of the fact these were some of the first ones that I got. So they give you these at the beginning of the game. So that's why they have some levels on them. So I don't really, but you need to keep some. So you don't really want to dissolve those shards initially. Okay, after because the fact that they're coming out with new stuff, I expect we'll see some more spirit souls. I mean, we got the 3-odd lion. What was that about? I think that was about. I want to say that was about 4 or 5 months ago is when the 3-odd line came out. So I assume they're probably going to be coming out with more SSs, maybe even SS plus. So that's why I'm not focusing on leveling these up. I get one, just throwing one on a character gives a little BP buff, but not much until you start getting into the upper levels here. They can level them up this high. You can get a pretty huge BP jump, which is what I'm doing, and I'm still going to be doing that to these two. And I'll be focusing on the mutated metal as the shards come out. But again, it's not something, so be a little bit, because when you dissolve the shards, they're gone. So if you need the currency in the shop for something, like for instance, going to regenerate, and we go and dissolve spirit soul shards right here. This is the currency that's used. Okay, so that's the currency that you'll get. I've got 22, 3, 4, 6 at this point. Okay, so if you need shards for something, then you might want to do that. My goal is going to be, I'm going to have S's, SS's, and if I'll supplement with some of the A pluses. But since we don't really know exactly what's going to be happening at this point, it's not really something we can do. And it's the same with the divine tools. Now, divine tools have the Saint Pillar shop. This used to be a pretty much not a very good shop, but now that they've got the Oracle and Amplification crystals in here, you need to start focusing on these. But unfortunately, I have 279k, so it's not like I'm running out anytime soon. I buy these every single week. These are really, 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 really good, really good items for amplification. As you can see, I've already started amplification on my Sea God set and my Sea God's Trident. But this gives you a pretty good buff, okay, as well as decreases all enemy main Soul Master start energy by 3 points. Okay, so when you have that divine tool in there, and of course we don't have a whole bunch of divine tools at this point that are SS grade, so it's pretty good. So, but yeah, this amplification, it gives you a pretty big buff as well too. Okay, so I've maxed out level 1 for each of them. So that's what you want to do. And now, as for the shards, if you max it out, you can theoretically use it for something else, because it's not going to be used again for anything else. As you can see, there's not an app where you can use it to make that. So once you've got a 5, which is maximum, then you can start dissolving them if you needed the actual materials. So as you can see, that's what you want. You don't want to, because once you dissolve, it's permanent. You get the currency. That's it. You can't get it back. So always make sure that you definitely don't need what you're getting ready to dissolve, because once you dissolve it, it's gone. Okay. All right, and then let's talk a little bit about extended Marsh. The same thing. These are the Marshes. I don't really see the need to ever actually have to dissolve any of that. Extended soul bones. These can be used. The S's can be used in soul bones to detail set attribute. It's extended soul bones. These can be used to absorb. Okay, so you could absorb these. So you really, you might not necessarily want to actually dissolve these at first. I'm going SS sets on all, and I normally put Sea God sets on there because I just like the buff that they give, and then absorb with that. So Sea God sets, but as the saying, but you can also absorb. So any SS can absorb an S. And give you a little bit of buff. As you can see, it's a pretty good buff. About roughly 50, a little bit less than 50% of a buff. So it's definitely something that you want to do. So again, dissolving those is not something that you would want to do right now either, until you the max absorption for all of your things. But it's something that you want to definitely continue doing. So again, not something you want to dissolve at early on in the game. Once you get up towards end game, it's that. Mortal herbs, I tell you this, it's just really super hard to get S herbs in this game. So I'm hoping they'll reformat it and do something with it, because really, it's just you need to be more, you need to have more options to get S herbs. Okay. Um, so basically, an S herb. Once you get an S herb, there are several things you can do with the herb. Okay. First is you can do use these immortal herbs. These are the shattered immortal herbs. And what you can do is you can use, you can upgrade. Okay, these to different stars by using the actual immortal herbs. Okay, but it takes 6 to do it. So, and you can add them in here. Okay, and upgrade them to different stars. What I'm worried about is I'm not sure where they're going with this facet of the game. Uh, I see S's and I think, I'm thinking SS shards, maybe something that is going to be done in the future, possibly. Okay, so I'm really hesitant about focusing and putting a lot of into using these as S's, only to be able to have SS shards come, or SS herbs come out, even though there's a regeneration option. But I might want to pull the mats back off of it, but I don't want to lose the herb, because I assume it's going to be similar to Soulbone, where you like fusion and you create it into an SS. So I'm really not sure what they're going to be doing this. So what I've been doing in the meantime is, once I get an S herb, I don't mess with the other herbs. As you can see, I don't touch A plus herbs. I'm not going to spend my resources on A plus herbs. I focus on the S's and try to get a set of S's. And when I do get an S set, I then bring it up to level 70. Okay, these mats are not the mats for these are not that super difficult to get, and as you can see, it doesn't really take that much in terms of leveling up 5. Okay, so that's what I've been doing right now, and I'm going to keep it at 70 for the time being. And if we do end up going to an SS option, then I will, I'll have some resources to do that. But for right now, I'm not really focusing on it too much. Okay, it gives you a little bit of a buff. It's not a horrendous buff, but it is a buff, and it does give you some BP. So hey, it works. But there's several upgrading of it. Upgrade consists of using the shattered. Level up consists of this smoocher, which you can get fairly easy. Reincarnate. Reincarnate. I've used this a couple times. What happens? Reincarnate is you can adjust the stats. Okay, you can adjust the stats on the actual herb if you want to get better stats. For instance, you might necessarily not want an attack herb on a character, so you could try to get a defense. Okay, you want to try to get at least one of the orange ranked on each of the but it takes 10 of you can do and it works pretty good. I've done it a couple of times, and to get a little bit better things on it. But again, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be seeing. So again, it's not something I do on focus. And like I say, I'm not focusing on the A plus herbs at all. Okay. S's are hard to get. Really, the only way you can actually get them is when you get the chest. This chest. Okay. I mean, I've got A plus herbs coming out of yin yang. I get tons of those. Okay. So, but the S herbs are good. Fortunately, this chest is selectable, which is good. So you can choose which one you want. Thankfully, if they were just throwing them out willy-nilly and you really get them occasionally, it'd be completely useless. So what I basically do is, the next, is focused just on Immortal Herb S sets for the characters. So right now, I need to complete the set that I have for. So I need a Velvet Chrysanthemum S. So I'll go to my Immortal Herb, and I'll use it, and I'll get a chrysanthemum, a velvet chrysanthemum. Okay, confirm, and I now have a chrysanthemum herb. Then I'll go back to and I'll replace it with this one. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to level it up. In my case, like I say, 70. I haven't done my weekly um, material things. I do soul bones and herbs and stuff. I haven't done that yet. So some of this stuff's like I still have to bring this one up to 70. And you might want to look. This is like two. I'd prefer something a little bit. Actually, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's really good. I do like that. So I'll definitely take that. That's really good. So yeah, uh, so you might, yeah, it only costs 10. You may as well do it. You get them. They're not super hard to get. It, they're not super hard. Let's put it this way: it's not something that you want to just do on a whim, because it is hard to get them, and they usually are fairly expensive. But they offer them so that you can get them. So it's not like they're super. They're not like the spirit, souls which we need to SS our soul SS plus our soul bones. But they're still, so you want to do a thing. So as you can see, that was what you should want to do. I don't care that that's attack. It's just a lot more. I mean, everybody attacks, and it's a nice hit point too. So went from 2 blues to an orange and a purple, which are a lot better. So that's definitely something that you would want to do. And as you can see, it gave me a pretty big buff right there as well too into my BP. So those things are something useless. So, but again, I'm still a little immortal herb hesitant to actually get into them. Spirit souls, I really don't see any need, maybe in the future. And the same with divine tools. Just make sure that you've fully upgraded. Don't dissolve shards. Don't just dissolve it because you see an option in there for it. It might be something that you need to upgrade, because you want to max out. You want to go 5 stars on all of those stuff. And once you got that, and it's not used for other stuff, then you might want to link. You see, one of the things I want to point out here is one option that you might not know is within this actual spirit avatars. Okay. You can actually, there are things where you can actually it's like this. Let me see. It's utilize other pieces of equipment to make it up. So make sure you don't stick your neck out and use those shards when you're going to be able to, if you're going to be able to use them for something else, because I've had that almost happen a couple times as well too. So Scorpion's maxed out. Maxed out. Here. So you got to make sure that materials aren't used for something else that you might be needed. In this case, you can use them inheritance. Inheritance actually takes the shards from some of the other characters, and you put them in here, and you could use them to give them cool skills. As you can see, this is something I've been focusing on for all the characters, maxing out that inheritance, and it takes the shards from the other characters. So even though you might have one at 5 stars, or in this case 3 stars, 2 stars, I decided that it was probably a little bit more of a benefit to actually utilize these shards instead of leveling these up directly, is to put them in these 2, because these 2 and eventually 3 are the ones that are in the team. Okay, so it's given a little bit more of a team buff. Plus, I'm assuming they're probably going to come out with more of these. So in the end, that's what. So once I get these all inherited out, then I'll start focusing on starring these up using those shards for that. For right now, I'm using them for inheritance. So even after, if you do max these out and you have shards for it, make sure it's cannot be used on something else. As far as I know at this point, The soul bones can be used for an amplification effect on extended soul bones, and these shards for the spirit soul can be used to inherit into the SS spirit souls. Okay, so just make sure that you don't willy nilly dissolve something that might actually have been beneficial, because you dissolve it, you get the currency, and you can spend it in the shop, yes. But at the same time, you could have used it to upgrade, and upgrading is where the BP comes from. So just be very hesitant before you actually use the regenerate shop, okay? So it's there, it's good, I like it. It's an option that every single game should have, and not many games have it, okay? And if they do have it, it's just like you can maybe get some of what you did or half of what you did back. This gives you pretty much everything back as far as I can tell. And once you do, now understand, once you do regenerate and stuff, that you still keep everything from the character. You do not lose any of the fusions or anything of that nature. Even though they say like this, you still have the fusion for them. So you can still utilize that fusion skill, and you can still utilize everything that's associated with it. Okay, so you don't need to worry about losing anything from your destiny or from your fusion. So see, all these characters, don't have a result. I still maintain that, even though they've been dissolved. I just, to get the shards back. So you don't lose this, okay? It's permanent once you get it, so you can feel free to dissolve and regenerate past that. You will not lose anything in terms of those things. So doesn't take anything away. You got it. Once you got it, it's permanent. It's a permanent buff, so to speak. And the destinies and fusions stay, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's a really good shot. But I've had some people questions about it. Where it's at, what does it do, and if I use it. And the fact is, yes, I do use it, but not very often. There's only certain things that I use it on. Mostly it's to get the soul stones, which I end up needing a lot of because they're used for my physical skills, and they're used to purchase stuff in the shop. So, but and that's because you can't use A+ characters, to upgrade and enhance. You can't, so there's really no need to actually keep them around at this point. So I don't see, I don't really see the need to actually do that at this point. So keep it what it is. You can't use them to upgrade anything. I mean, your S shards are used. You uses the S shards. It doesn't use any more. So there's no, there's no need to keep them around. So I just dissolve them to get the soul stones, and utilize it for something else. But that's your choice. But at the beginning of the game, you have to use some of the characters. And what they did, they didn't want to pigeonhole new players into the fact that putting all these mats and resources into BA and A+ characters, because you can get S characters fairly quick, but to get start getting the chests and start getting the shards, you need to be able to play the game in advance, and you can't. So you have to power up those characters that they give you, and it's really, I really hate doing that in a game where I know I'm going to be getting more powerful, better characters, but I'm having to spend mats on characters that I'm only going to use for maybe the first 2 or 3 levels of a game, and then I'm going to be switching to higher stuff. So it's really upsetting to have to use those materials, waste them on something, when if you just simped in something like this, regenerate, you could get those mats back and put them in newer characters, stronger characters, once you got them. But yeah, a lot of the games don't have it, so it's just something you have to deal with. Fortunately, it's not too big of a roadblock for some of the newer games. They seem to get you the characters fast enough, the ones that are fairly decent, so that by the time you're starting to utilize those, you at least have a character that's not that bad, or a character that you might be using halfway through the game before you have to worry about replacing it. So they've gotten a lot better with that. But in this game, it doesn't matter. What characters you get, you can go ahead and start maxing them out because you can get all of those mats back once you get a better character. Okay, so that's all I wanted to do. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the regenerate button and what it does. All right. So thanks a lot for watching. Remember to subscribe. Once you subscribe, you'll see the bell. Click on it. You get notified each time I drop a video. So remember to like and share the video, as it does help the channel immensely. This is Kid Rick coming at you from the corner, signing out.